Are you tired of the high annual fee travel credit cards? Well, I'm about to drop the 411 on how you can use no annual fee credit cards to travel. So stick around. Welcome back to Dollars with Dennis. My name's Dennis Dunn, and today we're going to be talking about how to travel with no annual fee credit cards. Now, I don't have to tell you guys about the refresh on the Chase Sapphire Reserve or the American Express Platinum cards. They came out with astronomical fees. Okay, the fee on the Chase Sapphire Reserve was $795. The annual fee for the American Express Platinum card was $895. All right, that's a lot of money. So, how do you travel with a no annual fee credit card? Well, let's get into my computer and I'll show you how. All right, guys, so we're in on my computer, and the credit card that I wanted to tell you about that you can travel with no annual fee is the Capital One Venture One card. Okay, let me just move my mush over to this end of the screen here. All right, and we'll scroll down a little bit. All right, so the Capital One Venture One card earns unlimited 1.25 miles per dollar on every purchase, and it earns 5 miles per dollar on hotels, vacation rentals, and rental cars booked through the Capital One travel portal. Now, the Capital One travel portal, all right, is probably one of the cheapest travel portals that you will find in the credit card space compared to Chase or to Amex. All right, you get some really good deals. All right, with the Capital One portal. Now, with the Venture One credit card, all right, there are two versions of it. There's one where you get the bonuses, which is $100 credit to use towards flight stays and rental cars booked through Capital One Travel during your first cardholder year. Plus, you earn 20,000 bonus miles once you spend $500 on purchases within the first 3 months of opening your card. Okay, so the one card you get the bonuses, the other card you don't get any bonuses. Depends on your credit level, or it depends on how long you have been Capital One or how many cards you have. So you can get one or the other. So it might come with bonuses, it might not come with bonuses. Me personally, I don't have the one with bonuses. All right, but it is what it is because I upgraded one of my cards to get the Capital One Venture One card. Now, this is the first card in the series. All right. So once you get this card, okay, what makes it so powerful is that you can get two other cards that you can use as regular spend, all right, to add to your points total. So let me tell you about these cards now, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, guys. So now the other card I wanted to tell you about from Capital One in this setup is the Savor card. Now, with the Savor card, okay, there's also a no annual fee card. All right. You earn unlimited 3% cash back at grocery stores on dining, entertainment, streaming services, plus 1% cash back on all purchases. You also earn 8% cash back on Capital One entertainment purchases. So this is going to be 3% cash back on groceries, and this is going to be 3% cash back on dining. Now, when you get these cash back items on this card, they are transferable, all right? And you can transfer those points that you've earned on this card into miles on your Venture One rewards card, okay? But now there's also one other card that we can add to this setup. So let me show you. All right, guys. So now the third card in this setup is the Capital One Quicksilver card. Now, the Quicksilver card earns 1.5% cash back on everything. It's a catch-all card. So now, if you use this card as your catch-all card, so whatever you can't use at the grocery store or you can't use on dining, all right? So let's say gas. You use the Quicksilver on gas. You'll get 1.5%, or at a discount store or a department store, whatever you use this card for, you'll get 1.5% cash back. All right. These points are also transferable and can be transferred into miles with your Capital One Venture card. So if you have the Quicksilver, if you have the Savor, and you have the Venture One card, okay, with these three cards, they're all no annual fee, all right, and all these can be transferred the points into miles, and it doesn't cost you any annual fee. Okay. You're not spending $795 or $895 or $150 or $95 or no annual fee. Zero you guys are paying. Okay. And you can travel with these cards. All right. You build up your points. All right. You transfer them to your Capital One Venture One card. All right. And then you use them through the Capital One portal. Okay. To travel with. So, just use these cards on your regular spend. All right. And you don't have to spend any extra money. Make sure you're paying off your bills monthly on time, because if you're not paying your bills monthly and on time, okay, it, whatever bonuses or points or miles that you're getting is going to be negative, all right, because you're going to be paying those high interest fees, all right. A lot of times you can upgrade some of your existing cards, but I'm going to tell you something. They're not going to offer you an upgrade if you owe them money. Okay? I'll tell you a true story. My ex wife, I was telling her, I can do this with this card and transfer the points and do this, and then everything goes to this card, and then I can travel with it. And she says, well, I have those cards. And when I went into her Capital One account and I saw how much money she owed Capital One, I was like, all right, no, this ain't for you because you don't have the offers. So listen, guys, you want to travel, make sure you're paying off your cards in full at the end of every month. Otherwise, it's not going to work. You're not going to be able to upgrade some of the Capital One cards you might already have. All right. And if your credit's really bad and you owe a lot of money, it's like, just forget this entirely. All right. But like I said, okay, Quicksilver, Savor, and Venture One cards can be used all in conjunction for travel. All right, so you might be saying, "Well, Dennis, where can I travel to? What can I do with the travel miles once I get them?" All right. You got to do a little homework there, guys. All right. You got to find out who the Capital One transfer partners are. All right. They work with various airlines. You can use your points towards airline flights. You can also book hotels. All right. You can do Airbnbs. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. So you basically, when you do your research, you'll find out what you can do with the points. All right. So, listen, what I will do for you guys, okay, is I will leave referral links down below in the description for each one of these cards. All right. You have a better chance of getting the card with the referral link than applying someplace else, honestly. So listen, all right. You want cards to travel with, all right. Click on the referral links, all right, and see about getting these cards. Now, another thing, if you don't have any of these cards, all right, I suggest you start out with the Capital One Quicksilver first, all right, then get the Savor card second, all right, and then get the Venture One third, okay. And you basically want to apply for these cards, I would say, every 6 months to a year. So, because the way Capital One does it, you're going to get hit with three hard pulls. All right. And they pull from Expedia, TransUnion, and Equifax. All right. Whereas a lot of other credit card companies, they only pull from Experian, or they might pull from Equifax. All right. And it's only one hard pull on your credit. All right. If you haven't applied for any Capital One cards in the past, all right, you're going to get three credit pulls on your credit report, okay, when you apply for the card. So just beware of that, all right, because when you get a lot of hard pulls, you want to space them out, all right. So, you know, you might want to do your homework on that as well. But listen, guys, this is how you can travel with no annual fee. If you have these three cards, all right, you can accumulate points and you can travel with these points. All right. So you got to do your homework. All right. Like I said, all right. Do your research about some hard pulls on your credit. All right. Do some research on who the travel partners are with Capital One. All right. But once you have all three of these cards, you're set. Okay. You can travel with no annual fee. No $95 card to unlock the bonuses from the other two cards, or, no 795 and 895, annual fee for all the benefits, and then you got to jump through this hoop and that hoop and the whole Megillah. It's like Capital One's easy peasy, all right? And not only is it easy peasy, but you can do it with no annual fee. So, listen, do yourself a favor. You're looking to save some money and you want to travel, and you don't want to pay the annual fees, go Capital One, guys. Until then, we'll see you on the next one.